Guys, welcome back to Master System Club Part 4. And as you can see, I'm joined by Clint, aka Retro Rewind. So, Clint, thanks ever so much for joining me today. Say hello.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, thanks for having me, dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's brilliant having you on, bud. To be honest, when I started doing these, it's nice catching up and chatting with everybody who you kind of have got to know through playing and collecting Master System. But yeah, I couldn't wait to get you on, to be fair, pal. We talk most days anyway, so I think it'll be a struggle keeping it to 45 minutes, an hour maybe. We'll see. We'll see how we get on. We'll probably be chatting for ages. So I was going to, there we go. So we can see who each other are, although we know, of course. So Clint and I, basically, to give it a bit of an intro, kind of went through a similar pace, really, collecting towards a full PAL Master System set. And we really ramped up, probably more over the pandemic. I think we bumped into each other on Twitter, didn't we, initially? I think you'd seen the Master System Challenge or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I found you, the Master System Challenge, because obviously you go on YouTube. I was trying to, I think what I did was, I think I just searched Master System on YouTube, and especially full set, because I think the first full set I saw was 2 UK.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And then obviously your Master System Challenge popped up. So I think it was Hang On. I think it was Hang On was the one I found. So obviously I had to go with that. So yeah, and that's how our love for each other started, shall we say.
Cool. Okay, so I'd be interested to start off. I'd probably start off the same with everybody that I natter to. Talk us through your very early gaming memories. Doesn't have to be Master System, whatever. I think you actually started with maybe, was it the Atari 2600? Like myself, I think.
Well, actually, it would be, I think it was Grandstand. Is it the Grandstand? The little TV plug-in?
Yeah.
So I mean, we got the Grandstand, and then we got the Atari. Obviously, got the heavy 6 hitter, the big wooden thing that we got that. I think we got that I think it was second hand with a couple of games. It blew up. So Smokey, it blew up, and we ended up getting the Junior, as they call it, the slimline black model, the Junior.
So yeah, with the little silver strip on the
and I still got it down there. I still got my original one.
Cool.
It seems to be it's really weird, but I think because it was classed as the family console, it kind of never got sold on. It kind of just got put in the attic. And funny enough, my childhood memory actually goes into my adulthood, because what I used to do is every so often I'd go into the attic and I'd pull the Atari down with games, and like at the age of about 18 or 24. I'd nip into the attic, get there, out, and play it on the TV. So just randomly, one weekend, I'll go, I really fancy going to the Atari. So I'll put it down and have a day on it, and then I'll put it back in the attic. So even though I didn't have any other computers at the time or whatever, I used to always pull that back from the attic and play on it all the way through the years. So it's really strange. Always went back to it. Always. I don't know why. Memories playing with the family, the mum and dad. So yeah, brilliant. And obviously I've still got the Atari, and I've still got all the original cartridges from my childhood still. So, and more obviously because I've bought more. So yeah, that's where I started, really, the Atari.
I think we borrowed I think my mum, because she worked in a pub at the time, so she got to naturally just chatting and meeting people, and I think somebody lent an Atari 2600. It was the same one with the black one with the metal strip, and I think we borrowed it for like a weekend or a week, maybe something like that. I must have been about 5 or 6 years old. I wasn't old at all, and we just borrowed it, and we loved it for those few days that we had it. I can't remember the games that we played. I think there was Pac-Man, maybe Space Invaders, something like that. So I think it was just a case of making use of the time that you had with it, and when we were that age. And then it went, and it wasn't until like another probably 4, 5, even 6 years until I was 11 when I got the Master System. So I did without video games for there was quite a big gap really when I was younger. So you got the Master System after that, did you?
Yeah, I think if I remember my childhood correctly, I got the Amstrad. I'm looking because it's there. I got the Amstrad. I'm trying to vague because obviously I'm 46, so memory's not the
It's
best.
hard, isn't it?
I believe I got the Mass System. I got the Mass System 2 for Christmas. And then I got that with Alex Kidd built in with no other games. So that was the game I pretty much played like constantly and completed it. So that was amazing to actually complete. Really weird. I brought it down and put it on the kitchen table and played with my mate who lived 2 doors down. I actually completed it, sat in the kitchen. Ironically, really weird, but yeah. So I had the Mass System, and I picked up the odd games from a local. I say local, it's actually about an half an hour drive, a car boot, and that's where I picked up the odd game. I think after, I don't know how long it'd be. I must have had no games for about 6 months. I think easy 6 months. You know how it is today. A kid gets a game every week. Back then, it was a game, birthday and Christmas, wasn't it? That's kind of
what it literally was. And I grew up in a really rural, very small rural town that had it had a Woolworths, but I don't remember it was only a small Woolworths, and I don't remember it really selling any games. And it was only, I think, probably after a year or so, there was a tiny little arcade / game shop that opened up, and he was only open for about 12 months, and he closed down. So you had to go and either swap them or part exchange them or whatever for a few quid. And yeah, so it was very rare to get a new game, though. I think all through my childhood, I think I maybe only had 11 or 12 Master System games. And when you finished it, you had to just play it again.
Yeah. But it's weird because, like, when you think about it, back then we had it. I don't mean we had it hard. We had it hard to get games because, like I said, Christmas and birthdays, and then there was no internet, so you couldn't order anything off the internet. The only way you got a game was you had one game and you swap with your other mate who had one game, so you end up swapping every couple of months just to have a bit of a change of taste. So not like today. It's so easy. It's so many different ways. Well, online gaming, if you're a modern gamer, obviously, it's online gaming. You could buy a game and it'd be here tomorrow offline. It's so easy to just get game. Like, you can go into your local city and there's a CEX probably or a gaming shop. It's just so easy for anyone.
Very convenient, isn't it now? Yeah.
Play games or even collect nowadays. Yeah. So far easy for anyone, isn't it now? Wish we had it that easy when we were young.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Yeah, we'll probably have games rooms like this, wouldn't we, when we was a kid?
Yeah, finally, if only. Yeah. Cool. So you then, like we all do, we grow up and we get busy with life and all that sort of stuff. At what point did you then start to rekindle this love for retro video games, for thinking, you know what, I'll start buying a few and playing them and all that sort of stuff? Obviously, you've got a great collection. But how did you always collect, or was it one of those things that you got to a point and you thought, yes, why not?
It's the most random thing, actually. This is really weird. At my old job, I used to. Well, I worked for a company, and we had a unit, and we had an upstairs, and at my dinner break, I'd go upstairs, and what I did was, we used to have like a sofa there, an armchair, and that, and I bought a little CRTV TV in, and I had a plug-in Mortal Kombat game, plug-in Atari stick, and I had that hooked up. I had a DVD player hooked up to it. So on my dinner break, I used to go watch a movie for an hour or play a game. And there's a lot of work with brought in a Mega Drive 2. And funny enough, I have it down there. I still got his Mega Drive 2. He let me keep it when he left. So I had that, and we had Streets Race 2. And sometimes we were on the same dinner. We used to play Streets Race 2 together. So it's really weird. I used to play retro gaming before retro gaming was kind of cool, because I'm trying to think when that would be. I'm trying to think what console would be out when that Mega Drive was playing. Probably Xbox, I think, was probably out when I was playing that. So I was playing retro gaming before it was actually cool. I used to play it every dinner. Just think I was just playing old games and enjoying it. But collecting and getting back into real retro started, I would say, bought my first house. When would it be? I'd be about 30. I'm old when buying my first house. Me and the missus moved out together, rented a place for a year. And then we bought our first house. I'm trying to think what year it would be. It's hard to put a year on it. Oh God, actually, I'm old. Would it be? Well, it would be 16 years. Say 15 years ago. It's 15 years ago. What we're now 2024. So yeah, 15 years ago. And one of my mates who we worked with had found his N64 in his attic when he was clearing out some stuff. So he said, "Oh, I got it home, got it set up." And then obviously nostalgia kicked in with me. He was playing GoldenEye. So, cool. I've still got an N64, I reckon, from in my parents' attic from me and brother had one. So in the attic I went, and there it was. The N64 was still up there, no games with it. And so basically I was like, right, I'm having this set up at home. So I got I got it in the bedroom, set up with a TV, an N64, and then I brought the Mega Drive 2 home. So I had them two set up. And that's pretty much how it started. And then I realized because there's no control with N64 that was missing. So I like Googled anywhere, and I found this game shop called Gotham Games in town. So proper really cool little retro shop. So I went in there and bought a controller, and that's pretty much how it started. That's where they all opened up, and I just fell into retro gaming, and that little setup, and then it really, I would say, it really kicked off when we bought this house in 2015. It's a 4-bedroom house. We chucked everything in. Was like, this is a forever house. We're not going to move. Let's go big. So we got a 4-bedroom house in case we ever needed it. And I was like, oh, I've got a spare room. So in the corner, I set up a little TV with the Atari, the Mega Drive 2, and the N64, and then that's where it started. I was like, right, I want a Master System. So I found a Master System 2 for a tenner on eBay, just loose. So and then I bought a power cable and a controller for it. Got that set up. I bought a NES. I've never owned or played on a NES as a child, so I was intrigued. So I bought a NES. That was a tenner because obviously 2015, everything on eBay was cheap, wasn't it? So I bought a loose NES.
Not like today.
Yeah, and then I was like, right, SNES, loose SNES. So I was buying loose consoles to keep it cheap because I wasn't pulling in the coin or anything, brand new house and no, not really much money. So and it was nice to find cheap consoles. I think it was like £10 a console. That's what I was buying. And then what I was doing is I had that set up in here, and this games room actually was a gym. I had 2 bikes on the wall. My 2 bike, I had a road bike and touch.
Remember your first videos?
Yeah. So I had 2 bikes set up in here, and in one corner I had a pull-up dip and some loose weights. So this is kind of like a gym, bike cave, and the little game section in the corner. So that's pretty much where it started. 2015 was where it happened, and then what I was doing is every payday, so monthly payday, I would walk into Gotham Games and I would be like, right, let's pick a couple of loose. They had like a loose cart section, and then they had obviously all the games in boxes everywhere. But then obviously loose carts were cheap. You pick up a Master System game for like £2-3. Same with a NES or SNES. They weren't that expensive. So what I was doing every payday, I'd pick a couple of each from each console. So I'd get a Master System game, a NES game, a SNES game, and a N64 game. So like probably get 2 or 3, maybe 4 loose carts, spend about £30 max. I was trying not to overspend on it. And then I was picking up loose carts because I was a gamer. I wanted to play games I've not played before. This is before obviously discovering the likes of, say, like an EverDrive, so you could play every game, known to man.
Yeah. So
the loose collection of cartridges was building up, and then what really, really kicked in the collection was Facebook. We're doing these Facebook raffles, and I entered a raffle for a couple of quid, and I won a boxed Master System 2 with 10 games. So obviously those 10 games went, and then I bought a cube, and I had little games starting in a little section, so a NES section, Master System section, Mega Drive section. So these loose carts, and then obviously the Master System had 10 games boxed. They they look good boxed on the shelf. Oh, that's quite nice. I wonder if I get a few more of them. And then I had a customer walk into my shop and he was like, oh, I found a load of Master System games in my attic. Do you want to buy them off me? So, all right, yeah. So got them cheap on, so they went on the shelf. So it's getting bigger. And then it was like, do you know what? I love 50 games on the shelf. I know I tell this story a lot, but that's how it was. I went 50 Master System games on the shelf with a few other games side. And then, yeah. And then there you go behind me. That 50 games just.
But yeah, it's quite the rabbit hole, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But yeah, it was more about discovering games I never got to play as a child, more than just wanted to own them. I really wanted to play games. I was never lucky to. You obviously read about them in magazines because everyone used to buy the monthly magazines of any system they used to collect or whatever or play on, and you see all the games. And pretty much, obviously, back in the childhood, was just flashback when I was saying about you only get one game. I was lucky enough to. There was a game shop on Monks Road in Lincoln, obviously where I'm from, and it was a tiny little house that had been converted into a shop. And he did retro games. He did retro games, as we call them. And I would go in and get a game, spend all week playing it, complete it, and then literally go back the following week and do a part exchange and give a couple of quid. So that's how I was playing my games. That was for when I had the Super Nintendo in 92, 93. So that's what I was doing with that. So that's where my gaming was from. That's how I was getting my games. Because I think Super Nintendo was 65, 70 quid a game. So that allowed me to pick up a game a week and switch it and complete it. Because I remember getting Best of the Best, which is a karate game for the SNES. I remember getting it, taking it home and completing it in a day. I was like, oh, great. I've completed the game. Now I'm going to have to wait another week and then go back and do it. So, yeah. So that's where it all started, really. Yeah, started as a gamer and then kind of just got into like picking up games I thought would look good on the shelf. So I hope that's answered the question. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cool. Yeah, that's all good. Okay, so when did things start to get like properly serious? Like, okay, and then you start looking at. I wonder how many games there are, and then looking at Tutti UK's video on YouTube. I think that was certainly the first one I saw of a full set, and thinking, do you know what? Maybe it's doable, or maybe I go to 100, maybe, and see where we end up.
Yeah, 50 games was my target. It was like 50 games. I was looking and I was like, let's not get carried away. And then obviously you start doing some researching. And I was like, oh, how many get? And then you start learning about the difference between PAL UK and, America or Brazil and all them. And I was like, oh, it'd be cool just because obviously I'm from the UK. I would only get UK games. I'm only going to collect PAL games. And every game in here is a PAL game. There's only one Mark III. And that's thanks to you, obviously. Only one Mark III. So, yeah, I only pretty much... I'll say that I've got some American massive, but it was when I started. It was just I wanted PAL UK. I wanted 50 games, but then obviously I started researching, and then the internet. Oh, there's 269 games. Oh my God, that's a lot. And then I wouldn't pay more than 20, 30 pounds was kind of about my limit. Financially, I was trying to just use. When she's got a bit of cash left over and your bills, and I was thinking 20, 30 pounds is where I'm at with these games. And I was constantly looking on eBay or going to Gotham Games and looking. And obviously I wanted to complete with a manual. It's more with a manual, obviously. I never wanted to buy any games without a manual. I always set it out it had to be fully complete or I wouldn't buy it. I did have a few in my collection without manuals because I'd won some on a raffle. The guy customer I bought from his attic, there was a couple without them. So obviously I got round to swapping or finding manuals like. But yeah, I think the key point that turned for me, obviously financially, I got I've been lucky enough to progress in the job I do, get a better wage, financially come into a bit of money from left, right, and centre. And things have changed which has helped gain the collection, that kind of thing. I'm not a rich man by all means. As most people always think you're rich because you've got a lot of games. If you sold all your games, you'd be a rich man. But I think the point that got me, I always remember this, I've told this story a few times, is I remember buying Smurfs the original, not the number 2, the super expensive, for £50 on eBay, and I was bidding on it. I remember I was buying it for £50, and I never said I'd go above £50. And I was actually shaking buying it. I was like, oh my God, this is such an expensive game to buy, £50. And then you're like, and everyone knows you, it's like you spend more than that. And that, I think that's what hit me. That game was the crossing point where that's it. Okay, the line was there, and now you've passed it. So you are, and I think, as you say, I watched TOOT UK. I started researching, looking on YouTube. Obviously, I could find yourself who started collecting. Then I see some other video people collecting masses and stuff. And I think you start feeding into each other's habits, get a bit addicted. You see people collecting, like me and you were proper like, we were neck and neck all the way to the end, weren't we? We were really like, it was really funny.
Yeah, pretty
we were
much.
the same number of games. And I just remember picking, like you went and did a big haul from a lad, and I went to the same lad and bought games. I was buying games from him and you were buying games at the same time. It was really weird how we were both. And I kind of, as I said, I think financially I got myself in a position, and I was like, this is the time. If I want to go for a full set, I've got to pull the plug and go for it. Because if I don't do it now, I'm never going to go for it. And I did say to myself, I kind of rushed it. 2023 was where I was at. If I didn't do it by 2023, then I was just not going to do it anymore, because the game pricing was just going out the roof. And I was like, I'm in a position I can do it now. I'm going to do it now. If I don't do it now, then that's it. I'll call quits on it, and I'll just never have a full set. But as my missus said, I've got a pretty addicted personality, and I'm quite competitive in what I do. So I kind of really wanted it, and I pushed for it. And I maybe overpaid on a few games here and there, but if I want it, I got them. So yeah,
I really enjoyed. For me, I really enjoyed the journey of collecting, and I did find it a bit addictive. Sitting on eBay and other websites and that. I think you also build a lot of camaraderie certainly with yourself. I know I did, and there was probably, I would think, about half a dozen other people, and some have given up along the way, and thought, I'm just not going to get there. It's not meant to be, and they weren't able to finish. Whether they do or not, we'll come back to it. I think one or two have even sort of sold with just a few to go, and that, and that's fair enough. They got their own reasons.
I think it was the 200 mark. I think I've noticed a lot of people got to the 200 mark and then stopped. I remember getting
you can get to 200, can't you? And it's I'm not saying it's easy. It's not.
No.
But you can get to 200, maybe even 220, and it's not. It's a challenge, but it's not impossible. But once you get to that sort of number, there are now, probably in 2024, I would imagine there's probably a good 50 that are going to cause you trouble. I think when me and you were doing it, it probably wasn't 50 that were going to be really tricky. It was probably only maybe 25 or 30 of them.
Like 20.
And if you, I'm guessing, if you'd have completed your set when TOOT UK completed his set, there were maybe, I don't know, there might have only been 20 that were really quite tricky, So I think some of them only got very, very limited releases in the UK.
Yeah.
Only one or two independent stores they would have been here, and they got a much bigger release in Europe. So things, I can see Robocop 3 in the background there for yourself. That was a lot more popular in places like Germany, for sure. And it only got a very limited release over here. So, but for the PAL set at least, you've still got to have it. So the prices of games like that are only going to continue to go one way, I guess.
So many people just quit. But look, for me, I to be fair, I really struggled to get my full set because I didn't know anyone abroad. Like I know a few collectors have got like family or someone they know who can import games for them and that kind of thing. All my games have all been pretty. I think I bought every game in this collection, my system collection in the UK, apart from one. No, two. Oh, there's a couple of cards. I think there was a card and a cartridge. So technically, I think it's two games are the only games I bought from outside the UK. I've been really lucky enough to get everything in the UK. But then again, I probably paid more because I've got them in the UK. Where a lot of people are all, I think because I'm late. I say I'm late joining the mass system. So I think there's a lot of collectors from back in the day who have collected all the way through. So they know each other. They know each other from a website-based forum or some sort, and they've all got contacts and they've all know where to get the games from. So they've been easy enough for them to get a full set at a cheaper price. So but for me, that's made my journey a lot more passionate because I know I've done it in the UK as much as possible instead of like just easily contacting someone abroad and getting it shipped over cheaply or whatever. I find it quite like Robocop 3. That's cool. Someone found that under their bed in the UK, literally tied in the room and found Robocop 3.
That is quite a cool story for that one. I mean, for that one, I had to get it from France. I'm lucky. My dad lives in France. I was able to get that. And the one of the big ones I got from France was was Asterix Great Escape, and my dad got it for about 25 euros. So I got it I saved a small fortune really.
I got mine in the UK. That one as
right.
Well. Honestly, the story behind something, because like we were saying, like when you get to the key 20 games it's hard to get hold of. It's not always the fact that it's hard to get hold of them because of the price of them, because that is hard. It's the fact that, like you say, the limited run and it's hardly any time. Like the Robocop 3 was brilliant because I can remember, because like we are like us collectors constantly on eBay, like every battery running low for some reason. I don't know why it's plugged in. So let me just check the battery because it's saying it's not plugged in for some reason.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
I don't know why. I've got it plugged in. I didn't realise that I haven't plugged it in on the wall. I plugged it into the extension. The extension's not plugged in. Yeah. So as I was saying, obviously we're constantly on eBay every 10 minutes and all that kind of thing. Constantly, like you join FB chat, FB groups, and on there, and that Robocop just come up. Some lad was just like, I found this under my bed. Is it worth anything? I'm looking for, people. Said,
not worth anything, mate. And I'll take it off your hands.
I was literally straight in. I think he posted it about a weird time of day, and I think I just happened to go on Facebook, and I was just like, "Yeah, if I'll have it. If you're selling it, I'll have it." And I got that, and that was the same with the Cheese Tastify or whatever game it is. That was the same. Yeah, same. It was the Asterix Great Escape. That's one you were just on about, wasn't it? That one, the story behind that one's a good one. That was one of the last ones I needed. I think that was the second to last game I needed. That and Home Alone were the last two, I believe. And someone just posted that up on Facebook at like a weird time of day, like a 10:30, somewhere where everyone's busy working. I happened to be not at work, and I was just on fire, and I was just on, happened to be there, and he posted saying, 80 quid, anyone want this? And I couldn't type fast enough. To get that game. So yeah, that was a lucky one, like you say. But yeah, collecting games, as you say, finding people you can get them off. It's always nice when you get those little gems that just pop up. So
yeah, absolutely. Cool. Yeah, for sure. Okay, what other systems? And obviously, it's great to have a single focus and a main go-to. Obviously, Master System. It is kind of, you're over the line now. It's done.
Yeah.
What else have you enjoyed? Because I know you do some Super Nintendo videos once a month as well. And I mean, what else can you tell us about, I suppose, your collecting habits?
That's the thing. I put everything into the mass system. Once I realised I was going for a full set mass system, I pretty much stopped collecting everything. The idea behind the games room for me was buying games I didn't own as a child and wanted to play, so I was picking up the odd things. I could go into the story, a few stories about my collection if that's what you want.
Yeah, please,
right, we'll start with the Amstrad. Right, story behind. I'll tell you what. Shall I show some key items to go with the story?
Yeah, go for it.
Right, okay. Let's set up a little storyline. So the Amstrad, which I've got set up here, is my childhood Amstrad. got it for Christmas. It after obviously you outgrow it and you get the, I don't know what I got. Was it probably, I don't know. Let's throw a curveball and say I think a Mega Drive. I think I got the Mega Drive. I did have a Mega Drive, so I think the Amstrad then went in the attic. I was going to I go to my parents regularly. I always like to pop in pretty much every weekend or every 2 weekends. And I went into the attic one day to get something out, and I found the Amstrad games. A few games. I don't know. Say 10 or 20 games. 10 or 20 games. But no Amstrad up there. So I was like, oh, obviously my parents have done that parents thing as they do. He's no longer having this. He doesn't use it. We'll get rid of it. So I assumed they just sold it on or just binned it. So I got the phone out, went on eBay, looked at the price of the Amstrad games were like £1, 50p, you know, back then, not like now. And I was like, well, they're not worth anything. So I did the worst thing. I binned them. Just chucked them in the bin.
Oh, no.
So I binned them. And then this is the worst thing. And like a month later, my mum was like, can you just go in the attic and get something out? And I just saw a corner of a box right in the corner with something out. And I just saw the Amstrad symbol on the box. And I was like, oh, the Amstrad's there. I pulled it out and there it was. The green screen monitor, the keyboard. And I was like, man. So I was like, I'm having this. So I brought it home. I bought Yi Kung Fu. Was the first game I bought. I bought that off eBay to test it. It worked. Happy days. So I've got it set up over there. So for me, the journey, I've been buying Hit Squad games. I'm quite. I like all the movie ones, but then I've branched out, and maybe I wouldn't mind having a full Hit Squad. But one of the things, the best game collection I have for the Amstrad was from a fellow collector we know, or was a collector, Mark. He got me this as a Secret Santa. Let's get to the camera. So this was what I got with, so it's Dixon's exclusive. I had this with my Amstrad because that's where we got it from, Dixon's. And I played the hell out of that set and binning that. And I was researching, trying to find it on eBay, and the odd one would pop up. And Mark knew I was researching it, so he was very clever to get me. And the one thing that I really want to get, obviously, my parents are no longer with me, so it's kind of like I feel bad for throwing something away they got me. So I really wanted that back in my collection. So that was awesome, Mark getting that for me. So that's pretty much the storyline of the Amstrad for me. I recently picked up RoboCop, the big box RoboCop, which was one of those I did own. So I'm kind of trying to pick off games that I put in the bin. So I think I'm pretty much there now. I think I've got all of them, but a couple of Kicks games and stuff like that. So we move on from the Amstrad. I've got, obviously I've got the NES. As I said, no childhood memory. I don't think I even ever played on one. I think the first time I played Mario was on All Stars on the SNES when the All Stars cartridge came out.
I think I had played one, an NES. My little brother had a friend that come to stop round for the weekend, and he brought his NES with him. So we played Mario 1, Duck Hunt, and that might have been it, just those two. Yeah. So I played it for a weekend when I must have been we were probably 11 or 12, and then we got a Super Nintendo. I think my brother got to choose because I picked the Master System. So he got to choose, I'll have a Super Nintendo. And we only had that about 9 or 10 months because we had a house fire. So the only game I ever completed on it was Donkey Kong Country, which is why I have a lot of nostalgia, a fondness for that game,
Yeah. Really good game, very advanced.
Yeah.
So like I said, the NES, and I've got about 20 games for the NES. Like I said, I picked one up loose, bought a few loose carts. And I've got to say, I wasn't over the moon with it as I thought it would be. I thought it would be some, it's huge in America. It's like, it's the game, it's a Master System, I believe, is better. I don't believe, I know is better. Let's put it out there. But the Mario games are really good. I'll give it that. The Mario games on the NES are pretty cool. And my daughter loves coming in and playing Duck Hunt. She loves Duck Hunt in it. No matter how I got the Phaser games on the Master System and I don't go, no, she loves Duck Hunt. I can't change that. But I was lucky enough to pick up an action box set with about 4 games from a neighbour. Well, say from a neighbour, an old neighbour from my parents' house. The lass who lived across the street was clearing out a family home, and she was clearing out the attic. And actually, just before that, she found it in the attic, and she messaged me saying, "I know you collect retro games. Interested in buying this?" I was like, "You have a look on eBay, see what they're going for. Let me know a price." So I picked up, I think it was 70 quid for a fully boxed action set with 4 games. And I think a couple of games were worth, I think afterwards I didn't realise, I looked, a couple of games were worth like 100 quid each. So I did really well there. So that was the NES, obviously a few loose carts. And then back in, obviously, if we go from the other way, we'll go to Mega Drive. I did own a Mega Drive when I was a kid. I actually owned a Mega Drive 1 and 2. For some reason, I got rid of the 1 and got 2, even though we later learned that the Mark 1 is a more superior machine, which is really annoying because I had a Mega Drive 1 and I sold it to get rid of it and kept the 2. I don't know why I didn't sell the 2 and keep the 1. But so looking up there, I've got, I think, about 60 games for the Mega Drive. And I think I've only bought about 10. I've been really lucky with the Mega Drive collection. I've got a box 1 and box 2, which I bought. I bought the box 1 myself from Gotham Games because I went through this phase of trying to get a box console of each of my collections. I really wanted a box console for each.
Yeah.
And the story behind the lady across the road, when she came to clearing out her house, her brother, who's no longer with us, he was a keen gamer. So she basically just went, "Here, have his whole collection." And I was just like, "Okay, do you want some money for it?" And she's like, "No, it's going to someone who's into gaming like he was. Have it all." And there was like Chef's Kiss mint box Mark II Mega Drive. He literally took the console out and put the box back in his shipping container. So it's like mint all there. And with a load of games. So I got a load of games with it. With that. So that was cool. Then I had another mate gift me some games he found. He's living in Australia now. He come back home and he was staying with his parents. And funny enough, under his bed, he found some Mega Drive games when he was looking for something. Took it to the back and messaged me, "Do you want to meet for a coffee?" It's like, "Yeah, I've got something for you. Some games."
That was quite recently, wasn't it? I remember you doing a video on it, and you had like
got like Street Fighter 2.
Okay,
yeah. So I got a few games.
That's nice.
Roger UK, he sent me a few games. So Mega Drive seems to be like the free set, as I call it. People seem to be giving me Mega Drive games.
I've been quite fortunate with Mega Drive. With so Roger sent me some games, which was really awesome. And I've had a few other people. Andy, that runs a shop up in Morecambe, he's been very, very generous as well. I never had a Mega Drive, so I got one for my 40th birthday.
It's a great concept.
So yeah, I got the Mega Drive like only 3 years ago, and I've just been making up for lost time. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I've been trying to play on my Mega Drive a bit more. I've got an EverDrive, or a cheap EverDrive for it, and I've been trying to play through some games. And some, I started a sub beat 'em up, subs. I did a subs episode 1 for my channel, and I still keep meaning to do an episode 2 because I played through so many great games on there, so many good shoot 'em ups. It's such a. Tell you what, the 90s when we had the SNES and the Mega Drive, it's just like the best gaming time ever. We were so
it really was, wasn't it?
To have that.
Yeah.
So that's obviously the Mega Drive, and then I collect for the Super Nintendo. As if people watch my channel, I'll be doing monthly pickups. How many games can you get for 50 quid? And I've been pushing for obviously boxed collection. Talk about
any target with the Super Nintendo? Have you got any particular? I mean, to go for a full PAL Super Nintendo set, I mean, I don't know.
No, it'd be ridiculous.
500 and something daft.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous number. It's hard to find cardboard. Cardboard, obviously, most people get trash and throw it away. You could probably go loose. You could probably have a good crack with loose cart. But the money is ridiculous on it, and the room. To be fair, I'm very passionate about the Super Nintendo. I was obviously when it came out in '92. I think it's me personally. It's my favorite gaming console to play on. They'll play on the Master System. Don't get me wrong with the Master System, but 16-bit SNES or Mega Drive, I favour the SNES. Just some of the games are just amazing, mate. Like And the story behind the SNES as well. A story like with throwing stuff away. I had my Super Nintendo Street Fighter 2 boxed, mint, bagged up in the attic. And I brought it down to play it on my TV when I got my first house. Oh, that'd be cool. I'll play on that. Really grainy, looks rubbish. I was like, clearly it's an old console. Don't work with new technology.
I know what's coming.
Sell it, put it on eBay. I sold it with, it had an action replay, a third-party controller. It was mint in box, a tinned Street Fighter 2 tin, turbo tinned, mint. And I sold it for about 30 quid. I think the whole set went for 30 quid. I know. So, whether say picking up SNES at the minute, when I said when I was going to Gotham Games and buying games, when I first picked up the loose SNES, I ended up getting about 40 loose carts. So what I've been trying to do is change the loose carts for box games. So I've been trying to buy games that don't already own, trying to rebuy in certain games and get them box. But another mission I've got right now is to buy back, like with the Amstrad, is everything I owned as a child.
That's a good one. So I've kind of been doing that over the last, I would think probably 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah.
Where I to focus on the stuff. I'll just try and get the games with like PS1 from the early 20s. Maybe I think I've pretty much got the the dozen or so Super Nintendo games that we had. I think the only other thing, so I mentioned to you just before we start recording that I've got the, where is it? So, you know, to keep me in the game, so to speak, I've been collecting these Japanese Master System games as well. So that's Solomon's Key.
They are cool.
Just there. So, and they're a lot of fun to collect as well.
So, like I said, I've been trying to buy them back. So the first thing I did was buy a Street Fighter 2 box. I bought one with it had the console and it was faulty, which I still got. So I got it and obviously switched it for a working one. So I got it for like 40 quid. So it's boxed, good condition box. I got that back in the collection. I got the third party controller box. I got that back in the collection. I'll tell you what, I recently picked this up and it was the Action Replay I owned. For the
right, okay.
I owned it. I used it now and again on games. Didn't really know what I was doing with it, but I had one, so I had to get it back in the collection. So I kind of, all I need to get now, I believe, is Street Fighter 2 Turbo Tin. There's a few of them on eBay, but I want a nice, tidy one with the badge in it. They always seem to be missing the badge. I nearly bought one the other month. It was £120, and it was mint, and I was umming and ahhing. I'd already bought a few games, and I thought, no, it'll be on there, and it sold. So I was a bit pissed.
I remember seeing, I mean, there are still bargains out there. I remember seeing, I'm sure it was Sega Zombie.
It was. The guy had 40 quid.
It was about 40 quid, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And even he said to him, didn't he? He goes, that's too cheap.
It's still out there. Yeah.
I need to go to a gaming market, clearly. I'll tell you what, one of the games I boxed was Starwing. Get the kiss in the shiny box. That was one of the games I had in the collection, so I had to get that back in. It's not the most tidiest box, but I had to get that back in there. I remember playing that with my dad. My dad really enjoyed that on the Super Nintendo. He loved playing that. That was his game on the Super Nintendo. He did like to join in and play games with me, and he really, really liked Starwing. I don't know. He loved that game. So I had to get that in. As I said, Mega Drive. I've got a game out. This is one of the ones from the childhood. Get the camera. Where's the camera? There's.
Oh, nice.
Kid Chameleon. This was from that lad's collection, but was gifted to me. So when that was in the collection, the only downside, I ain't got the manual. So, but that was one of the games I owned as a kid. So that was cool to have that. I remember putting a lot of time into that. I had a go like a few months ago, and I was dog on it. I was just like, wow, I've never been really good at this.
You've said that game to me before. I know you've
really cool.
Yeah,
it's a really cool game.
I do need to get around to that.
Like, it's just a really cool concept where each helmet you put on changes the ability what you could do. Like one can make you crawl up a wall and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
It's really great. It's a great concept of the game. As we move along, I'll say, so obviously Super Nintendo, the collection has been growing rapidly because I've been fortunate to pick up 2 or 3 games for 50 quid a month. I think I've been doing been doing all right with that. I've been trying not to buy too much rubbish, as people say, shelf fillers, but as it is. If we move along the shelving, because obviously I'm going to move along the shelf, we've got the N64, childhood memories, because me and my brother got one for Christmas, half, as you do when you've got family of three. You have to do that kind of thing. I've still got the boxed original one. Story behind it is my brother lent all the games out to his mate and never got back. Just forgot about it. So recently, I'll say recently, about how long? I'm trying to think out. It sounds more about how long my parents have been dead. When we sold the house, we was going through the stuff, and my brother literally cleared out boxes of his stuff, and then he came round and goes, "Look what I found in a box. The only surviving game, FIFA 64. It's like, here, it's a game for you." So, and it's quite tidy. So it's got a Toys R Us sticker on the back for scanning.
It's nice when you've got your own games from your childhood, isn't it? I'm fortunate to have a few still.
Yeah, I think we both we're going hard on games. I remember recent pickup, which I actually forgot to include in my December January pickups actually, was South Park. I picked this up from Retro Hunter down in Essex, because we had this. We did have that. I had it on loose cart, and I thought, I was in the shop and I was like, I'm gonna have to get that because I had it as a childhood. So the N64, I haven't got many games for it. I've got about, I don't know, 30 games. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot to sum in it. So the N64,
I don't have many, but it is one of the games that my youngest, loves playing GoldenEye.
GoldenEye's amazing.
So that was one of a nice memory of retro games, but with her as well. Yeah. So she loves GoldenEye.
I really like the console and I enjoyed it. I didn't get the PS1. I went N64. So, and I like the games, and I would really like to buy more for it. But obviously, when you are multi-collector as we are, it keeps getting missed off. So obviously, I've got a boxed Pod Racer episode 1 up there. I was lucky enough to pick it up about 4 or 5 years ago for about 80 quid. I've seen them selling for about 300 quid at the minute. So if I was to sell it up, and then I've got a boxed GoldenEye one, which actually was a birthday present. A friend of mine from my tri club when I used to be in there, she sent me a picture of it saying, "My brother's found this in his attic. Is it worth anything?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's easy. It's easy. Probably worth 100 quid on it. Just get it on the eBay. It's worth something." And I said to her, "Look, if he is selling it, let me know and I'll buy it." And I didn't hear anything from ages from her about it. And then I hinted again, and she was like, "Oh, he's up and ahhing." And then all of a sudden one day, knock at the door. There you go. Happy birthday. She bought it off him for me. So I thought that was awesome.
That's
awesome
nice.
Gift.
Yeah, it's a cool story.
So the N64 is obviously a childhood console, which I want to collect a little bit more. And I'm fortunate to buy the EverDrive card for that, like the cheap knockoff one. So I've been trying to discover a few more games on that, which is quite cool, because obviously back in the day, expensive games, not being able to buy those many. So it's
they are expensive. I mean, I think anything's expensive these days, isn't it now?
So if we move along one more I've got a shelving of Atari behind me here. And as I said earlier, I've got a lot of loose carts. I think about 30 loose carts, which are from my childhood. And then I've been picking up some box ones. I've been trying to get the Parker collection. I've got a few of them so far. Honourable mention will be Moon Patrol. And that is the childhood cartridge. And the reason behind that, my dad loved that one. My dad loved that game. And so did I. And funny enough, I played it for the first time. I never knew it was an arcade game. And obviously I discovered it when I was with you at Sperry.
Of course, yeah.
So I was over excited to kind of play on the arcade. But actually, I was let down. I actually thought the Atari version was better than the arcade. I just don't know why. It just seemed to play better.
Nostalgia, of course, maybe.
Yeah, just a solid game. If no one's ever played this, you got to play it. And the problem now with Atari is they're not that expensive to buy loose cart. And I say there wasn't up until now. I have noticed a shift in price for the Atari due to the fact because of the 2600 plus.
The plus, it's
the
just
plus
come
has
out.
come out, and everyone's gone, well, the Atari looks shit on TVs. Let's get modded and stuff. I know for me on my CRTV, it used to play perfect until recently, and now it's if I record it, it sounds really bad on sound. But for me, playing it in front of it, it's fine. For some reason, filming it picks up some extra crackles and bad sound. So I am tempted to pick up the 2600 plus.
If it keeps dropping, I think I've seen it.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was on Amazon
I
or
spoke for 80
something.
quid the other day. I looked, it was 80 quid the other day, and I was like, ooh, my birthday's in March, so I might treat myself to see if the missus wants to chuck a couple of quid, and I might, if it's still cheap. But yeah, so the Atari is quite a big passion of mine. It's a massive childhood memories, playing with the family, like I said. So I do like to pick up the old games. One of the cool games I got, which gets slated for no reason, people just like to jump on the bandwagon, and that is E.T. And that is actually
it's famous for the documentary, I guess, isn't it?
People just jump on that ass shit game. I tell you what, I own it on loose cart. I've got it down there, loose cart from my childhood, and I played it loads as a kid. And I played it as in today. I played it recently, and it still stands up. It's still an all right game to play. It's a difficult game, and I think a lot of people jump on the bandwagon. That's sealed, by the way, sealed.
Nice,
no sealed one. So that's the Atari collection. I've got a small Game Boy collection, very small Game Boy collection. When I said that I bought a Game Boy about 20 years ago, when I was buying loose consoles, I did pick up one. I've still got it down there, original grey one, for about a tenner with a couple of games. So I've still got that, and then I managed to get a couple of more games because the lady across the road who gave me a brother's set had a Game Boy in it with a few games. And then I did a video on this on YouTube. I managed to get one of these made, so it's Retro 6, all singing, all dancing Game Boy. So I sent a donor one in, and then ticked every list on the cart on the shopping trolley, and it's like it's absolutely amazing. Like the sound, the screen, you no longer needing the magnifying glass or a light on your head to try and play it. I don't play that enough, and I wish I played more. So I've got a small collection of Game Boy down there, and then obviously it moves on to the Master System, really. So
full circle.
Yeah.
So what do you think your collection's worth if you were to value it? What do you think it's worth?
What, the whole room, or
I don't know, maybe just the Master System to start with.
The Master Systems are. I've been, to be fair, I've been in a fortunate position where I could sell it. I have been propositioned a couple of times from a buyer, so it's tempting. But chatting to like the likes of yourself and other Master System collectors and seeing what people say out there, I think without all the extras, if it was just a PAL UK set, and I think most people say about 10 grand. I think that's pretty much where people are going, and a lot of people, if people are watching this, will probably go, "No, it's not worth 10 grand, is it?" But it's always worth what anyone's willing to pay. And it's hard to buy. If you wanted a collection just to put straight into your room, it's an easy buy, isn't it? There's no hardship behind you trying to track it down. And if you buy it from a fellow collector, they're going to be probably in the best condition you could probably get, as much as that. I know my collection, I've been going through over the so many years and trying to get rid of any water damaged ones, because my system games, I found a lot of them seem to be water damaged. I think games get put on the floor with kids' drinks, and I think get knocked over. And I think that's how I think a lot of them would get a bit water damage. So I think I've got a list in my phone. I think I've got about 10 games up there I'd like to replace. They're not like really bad, but just anally, like, if I wanted a minter, then yeah. But I think in theory, if I was to sell everything Master System behind me, I think about 12 grand. I think it's probably worth 12, 13 grand for everything that's sat behind me. But it's only worth what anyone's willing to pay at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, we know, we see, I think a lot last year and the year before, you were almost seeing every other week another person posting on Facebook because they decided to sell up. We know Mark and Kev, of course, of Kev
Mark's
selling
done
up
it twice,
at the
hasn't
minute.
he? Mark's
Hey?
done it twice. Mark's done it twice.
Yeah, Mark has done it twice.
He's
Yeah,
got to over two, as he said, he's got over 200 twice now and sold up.
Yeah. So yeah, it's easy. It's something that, you know, I've got a lot going on at the moment with myself. Just having a complete redirection in terms of the house, bedrooms, complete rearrangement of, you know, my life really. And it's a big question mark. Right, what do I do with this lot? I don't really want to sell it, but you wouldn't be human if you didn't consider it. And you know, so I'd sold last year. I sold about back end of last year. I sold about 400, which is a large number. I sold about 400 of my CD based game collection. So that was like most of the vast majority of Wii 360. I had a massive PS2 collection. That's all but gone now. Just the ones that I owned really when I was younger that I've kept. PS3. So yeah, they've all gone now. And yeah, I mean, I've got a lot more space than I had, but yeah, when you start,
it's space in it.
We started rearranging the loft and stuff a few weeks ago, and I was bringing bags, and because I just put it in carrier, but you know, what else you do? So I carrier bags, and I mean, must have been 30 or 40 carrier bags full of PS2, PS3, you know, Xbox 360 game that you just buy 3 or 4 from a charity shop every week over.
The CD games seem to be the big ones, don't they? CD games seem to be the ones you find, because I don't go out on purpose to do charity shop hunts like a lot of people, but I walk through a charity shop, and like those who know me and my channel, I don't collect anything CD based. The only CD based games I actually have got is a PSP with like PSP games, and the only reason behind that is my brother gifted me his PSP collection to me for my birthday. And
I think the UMDs have got a good chance of
and there's a lot of I even took my PSP on holiday with me last year and was playing a few games because I've never used it, so I took it with a few games, so I was getting some use out of it. I did have a PS1 collection, which I sold last year. I had about 30 games of it. The Mintis box PS1, which came from the lady across the road, and I had no nostalgia for PS2. I did own one back in the day. I owned one for a bit, and I still actually own a PS2. I think it's in my bedroom. I used to use it as a DVD player.
I think most people did.
and I have actually kept a few games to one side. I've got Warriors. I love playing Warriors and Killzone. I know those two games are in there, and I've kept them. And Street Fighter 2 because of the movie. There's a movie on there, and the movie's really good. Yeah, animated movie. So I don't collect anything CD based in my collection. That is one thing I've not pushed to. Like, I had an Xbox, and funny enough, I do own an Xbox. It's sat in the attic. Came from that lad again. It's I just put it in the attic. It's up there with a lot of stuff. And like you say, you have a cleanse. I had a cleanse last year. Like I said, I cleared out a lot. N64, I went through my N64, loose carts. I got rid of all the shelf fillers. I just got rid of them. I got rid of the PS1 and all the games because I wanted to have the room in here for the games I wanted to keep. So I have a few bits of spacing left for the SNES and the N64 and the Atari. And once they're full, I think that's it for them. I think I'm done. Oh, I'll tell you what. I've mentioned a few games for the collection. I'll mention 2 for the Master System. First and last games I picked up, boxed for all of it, was Action Fighter.
Of course, I know you like that one.
Favorite games when I bought the loose, obviously the Master System. The first game I actually went and bought, and it was boxed, was Action Fighter. I bought it loose cart first, and then the first box game I got was actually I had to get it.
Yeah.
So it was the first game I actually think I owned as a child, apart from obviously built in as a kid. This was the first game I owned and loved it, and still do. And then obviously the last game was obviously Home Alone.
I remember you doing the video, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one. It's a pricey one to find these days, but
What did I pay for it? I'm going to be honest and tell the viewers what I paid for it. I think this worked out at Mrs. Downstairs Miami. Oh, £180. Yeah, I think about 480 quid. I think that's what that worked out. And the funny story behind this is when obviously my collection was getting bigger, I was sat on the sofa, Miss opposite me, and she was like, looking at it. She goes, "Oh, how far are you going to go with this? Do you think you?" Even she said this. Do you think you will get a full set? And I was like, no, because there's games like Home Alone, which will probably be about 500 quid by the time I try and get it, and no one has one for sale. I only ever saw one of these pop up on eBay once, and it was listed for about an hour and then disappeared. So someone obviously got backdoored on that one. So it's quite ironic that was the game I talked about, the game I wanted the most, the game that I'd never get, and then it was the last game.
The last one that you got. Yeah,
So
that's brilliant.
So I'll tell you something. You get that question, if you was going to sell your collection, which one game would you keep from your collection? I'd even think I'd let Action Fighter go and keep that, because that was the last game and the hardest game for me to find. So I think that'll be that. So collection wise, yeah, I think I think I'm almost done. I think when we finished the Master System set, the missus said, "Oh, you've done that, aren't you? Finished? No more games? No more 85 parcels a week turn up to the house. You're done, aren't you?" I was like, yeah, I'm done. And then obviously
Finished
and she's like, "I thought you said you weren't collecting anymore." So I'm not collecting. I'm just buying now. There's a difference.
Yeah. Brilliant. Clint, mate, thanks ever so much for giving us some of your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it's really nice catching up. Every time we have a natter, I always say the same. It's like, popping down the pub and bumping into an old mate. So thank you ever so much for your time.
I was going to say, it's just a shame you live so far away. Everyone seems to live
I know,
far away.
yeah.
Everyone I talk to lives like half an hour from each other, and I'm like hours away. It's like I think Lincoln must be the only place that don't do retro gaming.
It's a lovely part of the world, though. So
it's really funny. I try to go on Facebook and look at like gaming sites in Lincoln. And it's like a few modern ones, and that's about it. Even if you go into your local CX in Lincoln, there's barely any retro games ever in there. It's weird. Lincoln's a
thank goodness for eBay.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's been cool. It's been good catching up with you, little stories about the room and stuff.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, buddy. Guys, thank you ever so much for watching. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions for Clint or for me, then do to post any questions you want in the comments below, and either Clint or myself will pick them up. Clint's got his own YouTube channel, of course. I'll put a link in the description to that, although I'm sure if you watch me, you're probably well aware of who this chap is. We're also both on Twitter, Instagram, etc., etc. Yeah, guys, thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.